innocent little girl named Heaven. She was the light of her parents' lives, with her bright eyes and infectious laughter that could melt even the coldest of hearts. But one fateful day, that laughter was silenced forever, and her mother is left to mourn the loss of her brightest star. Heaven's killer is a man named Getachew, a cruel and evil man who had been lurking in the shadows of the town for far too long. He had always been a source of fear and unease for the townspeople, but they never imagined that he would commit such a heinous act. One day, Getachew saw Heaven playing in his compound, her laughter ringing through the air like a song. He was overcome with a twisted desire, and he snatched her up, taking her to his house where he could carry out his vile plans. Heaven was innocent and trusting, and she had no idea of the danger she was in. Getachew raped her, and then, in a desperate attempt to cover up his crimes, he bathed her and dressed her in clean clothes. But Heaven was already gone, her spirit broken by the cruelty she had endured. In a final act of evil, Getachew took a razor and cut Heaven's body, mutilating her in a way that was almost too horrific to imagine. He then left her for dead, her small body cold and lifeless, the pain and suffering that Heaven endured in a child, and she was taken away from her family and friends in the most violent and unspeakable way. The thought of her losing her life and the innocence that came with it is heartbreaking. But what is even more heartbreaking is that Getachew, the man responsible for this horrific crime, did not receive the punishment he deserved. He was sentenced to only 25 years in prison, a slap on the wrist for taking the life of an innocent child. This is not justice. The government has failed Heaven and her family by not delivering a punishment that fits the crime. Getachew deserves to be dead, where he can never harm another child again. He deserved for God to judge him and to send him to eternal hell for eternity. As a society, we must come together and demand justice for Heaven. We must make our voices heard and demand that the government takes action. We must make sure that Getachew never harms another child again. Let us honor Heaven's memory by fighting for justice and making sure that her death is not in vain. Let us demand that the government takes action and that Getachew receives the punishment that he deserves. Heaven, may you rest in peace, and may your family find the justice and closure that they deserve. We will not forget you, and we will continue to fight for you. This beautiful